Hello everyone. Now, in today's session, in the lecture series of microprocessor and microcontroller, we are going to discuss on ATmega32 pin diagram and its various functions. Right? So it is a part of Unit 3, that is Introduction to 8-bit AVR microcontroller, in which today's lecture that is based on AVR pin diagram and its pin function. Topics to be covered in the following session are ATmega32 pin diagram, pin description with its functions, and alternate functions of input-output ports, that is A, B, C, D, which is in ATmega32. Now, first of all, we are going to discuss that is ATmega32 pin diagram. So, as you can see here on the left hand side, this is the microcontroller pin of ATmega32 pin, right, which is having a 40 pin IC, right. So this is the ATmega32 microcontroller pin, which is mounted on a semiconductor silicon chip. And on the right hand side, you can see this diagram shows the pin diagram of ATmega32. Right now, as you can see, same as 8085 and 8051, it is also a 40 pin IC. Right now, this 40 pin IC will have 1 to 20 from the on the left side from the top to bottom, and 21 to 40 will be on the right side from the bottom to top. Now, on the right hand side, there will be an input output port PA0 to PA7 with its alternative functions, that is ADC0 to ADC7, that is analog to digital converters. Right, on right hand side from pin 1 to pin 8, that is the port B, input output port again, that which is PB0 to PB7, will also having an alternate function which is mentioned in this brackets. Right, each alternate functions we will see in detail. Now on the again right hand side, there is a port C from PC0 to PC7, having again with its alternative functions as well as working as a input output port. And here from PD0 to PD6 on the left hand side, and PD7, that is 21 number pin on the right hand side. These pins also having with the alternate functions as well as working as a input output port. And rest of the pins are for having a power supply, crystal oscillator, reset pins, and for ADC there will be a reference and a VCC. With respect to this, it will convert analog to digital converter. Right. So this is the whole pin diagram of ATmega32. Now we will see each and every functions in detail. So next topic, that is pin description and its functions. So first pin that is we will discuss, that is VCC, that is digital supply voltage. So again, the power supply for this ATmega32 is also varies from 2 volt to 20 volt, right, whereas basically it will work on a 5 volt power supply, and depend on the peripherals connected with externally, the digital power supply will be changed. Next pin, that is the ground pin. Ground stands for GND stands for ground. So this pin will be connected with the 0 volt power supply. Next, that is port A. Port A having a 8 pins starting from PA0 to PA7, which we have seen on the right hand side on the starting. Right now, port A serves as an analog input to the analog to digital converter or 8-bit bidirectional IO port, if A to D converter is not used. Right, so all the ports in ATmega32 will working as a input output port, as well as it will have its alternate functions. So if the alternate functions are not in used, right, for particular task, that particular port can be used as input output port if required. Port pins can provide internal pull-up resistor, that is selected for each bit. Now what does this internal pull-up resistor means? So it will decide that particular which pin of that port will work as input pin or as output pin. Right, so how it will work as input and output we will see in the programming in the next chapter, but as we will discuss that if the port having internal pull-up resistor that is low, that means 0, then that particular pin or bit will work as a input pin. And if it is a high, right, if it is a connected with VCC, this input resistor, then this will work as a output pin. So the port A output buffers have symmetrical drive characteristics with both high sink and source capability. When pin PA0 to PA7 are used as inputs and are externally pulled low, they will source current if the pull-up resistors are activated. So if they are activated, that means it is, if the pull-up resistors are high, then the current will flow and that pin or that bit will work as a output pin. And if the pins are externally pulled low, that means if it is connected with ground, then that particular pin from PA0 to PA7 will work as an input pin. So due to basis on this, we will decide each and every port or each and every bit of that port as input pin or output pin. Next, the port A pins are tri-stated when a reset conditions become active even if the clock is not running, right? So when the controller is in the reset condition, right, at that particular time the port A pins are tri-stated. Tri-stated, that means buffered, right? So no operations will be performed, but still the data in the port A will remain as it is. Then going with port B, so similar to port A, port B is also working as input output port, and also it will work as having an alternate functions. The alternate functions we will see in the last slide, right? So the port B is an 8-bit bidirectional IO port with internal pull-up resistor selected for each bit. So similar to port A, see here port B is also an 8-bit bidirectional input output port. So it will work as input also as well as output also for particular bit also, right? So if we consider that, let's say PB 1 bit is input and PB 6 bit is output, we can do that particular thing, right? If we need to do that only low and high for that particular bit. The port B output buffers have symmetrical drive characteristics with both high sink and source capability. As input, port B pins that are externally pulled low will source current if pull-up resistors are activated, right? So similarly, like port A, similarly with this, if they are not using as an alternative functions, then we can use as input output pins. And if we want to use as input, then all the pull-up resistors would be low, right? And if it is work as an output, then all the pull-up resistors should be activated, that means high. The port pins B are tri-stated when a reset conditions become active even if the clock is not running. So similar to port A, the port B is also working as the same for input output ports. Port B also serves the function of various special features. That special features we will discuss in the last slide. Now next, that is port C. So again port C is an 8-bit bidirectional IO port with input pull-up resistor that is selected for each bit. The port C output buffers have symmetrical drive characteristics with both high sink and source capability. So for particular port C, port A, port B and port D, the functions of input output port remains the same, right? Only the alternate functions of that particular input output port will change, right? So for this, similarly as port A and port B, if we want to work as input, then we need to do that particular resistors as a low condition, and if we want to work as a source current, that means that is output, then we need to do pull-up resistor are activated, that means high state. The port C are tri-stated when a reset conditions become active even if the clock is not running, similar as port A and port B. Again, now due to accept this, there will be another function that if the JTAG interface is enabled. Now port C is particularly used for JTAG interface. JTAG interface stands for, that is that is if the external peripherals are connected with this port C, that is for particular serial peripheral interface SPI bus, for that particular JTAG interfaces should be enabled. So for that, whenever we need to work on SPI interface, we need to work on port C. Right, the pull-up registers are activated on pins PC5. PC5 stands for TDI, right, transmit transmit data, TMS, that is transmit mode select, and PC2, that is transmit clock, will be activated even if the reset occurs. The TD0 pin is a tri-stated unless step states the shift out data are entered. Right, so except this input output port, the port C is also used for JTAG interface, that is to connect that particular peripheral, various peripherals serially with the controller. Port C also serves the function of JTAG interface and other special features of ATmega32. Now next, that is port D. So port D is an again 8-bit bidirectional IO port with internal pull-up resistors similar as the previous ports. It will also having the output buffers as symmetrical drives with both high sink and source capability. So if we want to use as an input, then that will be low, and if it is as output, then the resistor should be activated. Similarly to previous ports, they are tri-stated when all the reset conditions become active even if the clock is not running. And it also serves the various special features of ATmega32. Now next, that is rest of the pins of ATmega32. First, that is reset pin. Now as you can see, this reset pin is an active low pin. Means as you can see in the pin diagram, the reset will having a bar on it. Right, so bar suggests that it is a active low pin. So if the 0 is given to pin 9, that is reset, for that particular controller, at that time ATmega32 will be resetted. So all the programming or all the tasks will be terminated, and the program counter will be go on to the initial address, that is 000H. So reset stands for reset input. A low level on this pin for longer than minimum pulse length will generate a reset even if the clock is not running. Pulse shorter than minimum pulse length are not guaranteed to generate a reset. For reset this, we need to generate a minimum pulse length that will generate a reset. Otherwise that will not possible or not allowed to generate a reset. Now next, that is XTAL1 pin, and similarly XTAL2 pin. So if we want to connect input to the inverting oscillator amplifier and input to the internal clock operating, so whenever we are working on the input to the ATmega32, we are using the XTAL1 pin, right? And whenever we are giving the particular clock pulse to the output peripherals, at that time we are using XTAL2, that is output to inverting oscillator amplifier. Similarly in 8085 there were the other pins like clock out, right, for giving the clock cycles to the other peripherals. Here it is not a different pin for the clock out. From XTAL1 and XTAL2, input and output will be occur. Then AVCC. So AVCC is the supply voltage for port A and the A to D converter, right? So whenever we are using the port A as ADC, that is analog to digital converter, this ACC is the supply voltage and will connect it to the VCC, right? And if also it is not performing then ADC, then also the VCC should be connected to a AVCC should be connected to the VCC. Then A reference. So A reference is the analog reference pin for the A to D converter. So for converting the analog value to the digital value, we need a reference point through which it is compared, right? So A reference will give the comparison value to that particular analog value. Now next we are going to discuss, that is alternative functions of all the IO ports. First we are going to discuss, that is alternative functions of port A. Now in this table you can see the alternative functions of port A. So port A lies from pin number 33 to pin number 40. Right, pin 33 stands for PA7, which is having a ADC7, that is analog to digital converter channel number 7. Right, from till 40 to 40 will have PA0, that is ADC0, that is analog to digital converter 0. Right, similarly the description, that is pin 7 of port A, pin 6 of port A up to pin 0 of port A. Right, and what are the alternative functions? So it will having alternative functions of ADC, analog to digital converter, for channel 7, channel 6, channel 5 and so on up to channel 0. So these are the alternative functions of port A. So if these alternative functions are using, then this port will not used as a input output port. Right. Now next, that is alternative functions of port B. Now as you can see here, port B will having a pin number from 1 to 8, from PB0 to PB7. Now PB0 stands for XCK/T0. T0 stands for timer 0 external counter input. So there will be a timer 0 at PB0, and second, that is XCK. XCK used for USART external clock input output. Right, so whenever there will be a serial communication using XCK clock, the external clock will be synchronized. Now second, that is PB1 stands for T1, for having a timer 1 external counter input. So PB0 for T0 timer 0 and PB1 for timer 1. So there will be a 2 timers. Now PB2 stands for INT2 and AIN0. So INT2, that is external interrupt 2, and AIN0, that is analog comparator positive input. So whenever we are using port A for ADC, at that particular time these alternative functions AIN0 with A reference will be used. Then PB3 for OCO0 and AIN1. So AIN1, that is comparative with the negative input, and OCO, that is timer 0 output compare match flag. Now here at Mega 32 works on 2 modes. First, that is normal mode, and second, that is the output compare mode. Right, so for normal mode, here we will use T0 and T1 right, for timer, and for whenever we are using the output compare mode, for that particular OCO0 and OCO2 on the port D will be used. Right, what is normal mode and output compare mode, we will see in the chapter 5. Right, now PB5 or PB4 stands for SS. SS, that is SPI slave select input. So whenever we are using serial peripheral interface, that means all the peripherals, external peripherals are interfaced serially at that particular time, which peripherals will work as slave, we need to select that particular peripheral. So for selecting the slave peripheral, we are using the SS. So this pin is low when the controller acts as a slave. Right, so for the peripherals connected serially with the controller, when the controller acts as a slave, this pin will be activated. Then next, that is PB5 MOSI. So MOSI stands for master output slave input. Now what is master output slave input? So when controller acts as a slave, the data is received by the pin. Right, so whenever this will be selected at that particular time, if we want to receive the data by the controller, due to this we will select this MOSI. Right, and PB6, that is MISO, master input slave output. So when again controller acts as a slave, the data is sent to a master by this controller. So the controller will send the data serially with the help of this pin, and the data will received by the controller with the help of this PB5 pin, MOSI pin. And last, that is PB7 SCK, that is serial clock for SPI bus. So for peripherals to be connected serially, we need to clock that is synchronized between all the peripherals, right, so that the accurate data can be transferred. So for that, whenever we are using SPI serial peripheral interface, right, so that particular for synchronizing the clock, we are activating this pin, which is PB7, having alternative functions SCK. Now next, that is alternative functions of port C. So as you can see, port C, and we have discussed in the pin function of port C that port C is generally used for JTAG interface. JTAG interface, that is all the peripherals are connected with each other and then they are connected with the controller, right? So for this we need to for this particular port C is work as a JTAG interface, right? Now pin 22 to 29 stands for port C from PC0 to PC7. PC0 and PC1 having SCL and SDA for TWI interface, that is two wired interface. Clear? So whenever there will be a there will be a data transferred or serial simultaneously, for that particular this port will be used. From pin 24 to 27, that is PC2 to PC5, TCK, TMS, TDO and TDI. These all for the JTAG interface. And last 28 and 29, that is T oscillator 1 and T oscillator 2, that is timer oscillator pin 1 and timer oscillator pin 2, right? Again these both oscillators are used for this JTAG interface for oscillating or for giving the timing clock pulse. Clear? So these are the alternative functions of port C. In this you need to remember only this alternative functions with this only these abbreviations, right? No need to write the functions in detail. And last, that is alternative functions of port D. So port D stands for pin number 14 to pin number 21, from PD0 to PD7. So PD0, that is RxD pin, and PD1 for TXD pin. So RxD pin, that is for serial communication for receiving purpose. So Rx is receive data for USART input pin. USART stands for universal synchronous or synchronous receiver and transmitter. So both receiving and transmitting with the help we can do with the help of only one this particular mode, USART mode, right, in synchronization as well as asynchronization. Here, so for receiving data by the controller, and PD1 for transmitting data. So whenever the data is transmitted from the controller to any peripherals, then we will use TXD pin for the serial communication. Then PD2 for INT0, that is external interrupt 0, and PD3 INT1, that is external interrupt 1. So there will be 3 external interrupts, 2 on port D and first was on the port B, right? Now PD4, that is OC1B and OC1A. Now port 1 is a 16-bit register. So for we need to access this particular 16-bit register. This our 8MEGA32 is a 8-bit data, right? So to obtain this 16-bit, we need to convert it into 2 data. So timer 1 is a 16-bit. So what we do is we need to break into 2. So OC1B and OC1A. These are the PWM channel outputs. And last, that is PD6, that is ICP, input capture pin for timer counter 1. And last OC2, that is timer counter to output compare match. Again OC1 was in the port B, right? So these are the alternative functions of input output ports, that is port A, port B, port C and port D, right? Now that's all for today's session, right? Now we are going to discuss about the power circuit, reset circuit of 8MEGA32 in the next session, and then the unit 3 will be completed. So thank you for today's session.